Hi, and welcome to Dramatic Knits. My name is Steve, also known as Dramatic Knits.
And I'm Callie, also known as Calsters.
And today is Saturday, February 20th, 2016. This is episode 245. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back one more week. And if you're new, hopefully you enjoyed today's show, and you'll come back in the future. We are recording a day early, really only about 16 hours early. It is currently about 6:15 p.m. on Saturday night, so it's dark out. We got the windows open because it was about 70 degrees earlier today in February. So if you hear dogs, cars, our dogs, I'm sorry.
Motorcycles, trucks.
And we have a fan going on low because it is actually warm up here on the second level of my house. So sorry for any background noise, or if you're watching using headphones. Is what it is. We give you the best show possible, but we still need to be comfortable.
Yep.
It makes for a more enjoyable show. So, we have had a fantabulous day hanging out together.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to continue our day together by recording a show for you guys. So that's why we're recording tonight. Plus, we also have a few scheduling conflicts for tomorrow. So I'll get into that here in just a second. But so we'll hope you enjoyed today's show. We got some new section to add to the show, and I may have twisted Callie's arm on that, but it really didn't need much twisting, and we both fell down the rabbit hole. So, but
that we did.
We'll keep that for when we get there. So let's do a week in review. I only taught 4 days this past week. Monday we had off for President's Day, and then I went back to work. I had a challenging Friday. I had a class that really got to me in terms of just kind of revolting against me not wanting to do what I needed them to do and being extremely disrespectful. But neither here nor there. I got over it, and another day forward, right? It didn't help that I wasn't in the best emotional place on Friday. Thursday night, my leading man, Andy, got a phone call from his brother, and so his brother never really calls him. They just don't talk on the phone. They're close, but not, they both just don't enjoy talking on the phone. So when he picked up the phone, he's like, "Hey, brother." I was like, "What's going on?" And what had happened was Andy's stepdad had passed away rather suddenly at his job, and we came to find out that he suffered a pulmonary embolism, and so he was unloading a truck at work and picked up a box and just kind of went down, ended up hitting his head on something, and honestly, whether it's a good thing or not, they think he was probably dead by the time he hit the ground. So it was a bit rough. That night, Andy left last night to go back home to northern Indiana. They're going to be doing the viewing on Monday and the funeral on Tuesday. So I'm actually going up tomorrow, Sunday. I'm driving myself up and be attending those services, and then we'll be coming back on Tuesday night late. And then I'll work on Wednesday, which is actually not much for me because we have a half day of student attendance, and 2 of those 3 hours are my prep period. So I'm only really teaching 1 hour that day, but then I have meetings in the afternoon. And then I'll be teaching on Thursday, and then Friday I have the Knitting Pipeline Retreat, so I'm taking Friday off as well. So is what it is. I mean, it's not like it could have been planned or anything with the time off, but we'd appreciate any, thoughts and well wishes that you have. If I get any, through Ravelry or whatnot, I will make sure to pass them along to Andy and his family. We'll get through it. It was a rough day and a half, but it sounds like, things are on the mend. I'm sure it'll be rough for a while, but, life happens. Life changes, and we move forward, and so that's that. That's kind of been my week. Other than that, we did go to knit night on Tuesday night, which was nice. Weren't able to have dinner together, but we did have lunch together today, so, and maybe spent a little moolah and did some shopping, but again, we'll keep that for the new segment that will be added here in a little bit.
So this week for me has been, it has been challenging. It has been rough. It has been just another week. So, I can't really, I had to work on Monday. That was President's Day. Tuesday I worked. So the only day that I took off, and it was kind of a roundabout off day, but on Thursday I had my general physician's appointment with him, and that went about as well as I had expected, because this doctor just has no bedside manner at all, and just was. So I will say this. So then after that, I had my appointment with my endocrinologist who manages my diabetes. And so point that I'd like to make is that since my November appointment with both of them, I had lost 10 pounds. So my general physician was like, yeah, you could stand to lose some more weight. And I was like, thanks. So when my endocrinologist, when my doctor came in, she was like, unless they marked this wrong, she said, I think we need to start this meeting off on a high note. Congratulations on losing 10 pounds. I know that, that's really hard in the stressful work that you have. And I was like, that's just the difference between the two. But I was like, yes. So that was really, and I ask a lot more, probably questions I should ask my general doctor, but obviously I don't. But I feel so much more comfortable talking to my endocrinologist, and so I think, it's a blessing that our paths crossed. Whether that's a good thing or not, at least I have someone in my corner that has my health in their best interest. So I was really happy about that. And then I had my leadership class later that night. And then yesterday was just a full day of work, catching up on things. People wanting things before they go out on surgery that they drop the ball on, and then I get the privilege of picking up. But, I'm going to let that slide. So, anyways, got a lot of stuff done. Still have a lot of stuff to do. But that's just normal. So today has been really awesome because, I was telling Steve that I feel very, very happy. I had a meeting with one of my my leadership class. He was a class facilitator last year, and I had a meeting with him this morning at Starbucks, and we talked about a lot of different things that I had on my mind. And I was telling Steve, I appreciate Steve and Andy's support on life decisions that I'm making. And I have my parents and other family and friends that, are in on these life changes as well. And it was nice to be reassured by someone who is not super close to me. They know me, but they're not, best friends with me. They don't hang out with me outside of work and
right.
that.
They're more of a professional level acquaintance than personal friend.
Yeah. So it was really great to hear, I was saying to Steve, it's not that I don't trust you and Andy or other people with, your opinions, but it's nice to be able to be reassured that everybody that I have explained the circumstances to have been on the same page. And so that was really great. So that was a high note, and then we did our shenanigans. But, I just feel really happy, and I was telling Steve I just don't know when the last time that was. And I think having this open conversation with my leadership former class facilitator, I think that really solidified that if that's going to be the high note, of my day, not that I haven't enjoyed it, but the high note in that I'm not wrong in my thinking,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm kind of a self-doubter on that, and I fight with myself a lot. So, and he has, his name's Tejas. Tejas has a lot of that same, personal conflicts as well. So I felt from someone that kind of suffers from the same kind of problems, it's great to get their point of view. So overall, it has been a really excellent day to confirm a lot of things, and I really appreciate the day.
And it's not over yet.
It's not over yet.
We got some new hurdles we're gonna cross once we stop recording.
Yes,
we're gonna tread into some dangerous waters. Anyway, enough with the analogies. Let's get into the knitting. What's taking a bow this week? I have a finished object. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw it this morning. Wasn't a great picture. It was me in my pajamas before I got in the shower. But I was like, I'm just going to get this done because if I put off taking FO pictures, they don't get done for a while. I was just telling Kelly, I was like, I still haven't taken a picture of those striped socks I finished 2 weeks ago. And if you know me, I stay on top of my project pages. I stay on top of my pictures and stuff like that. Like, that's part of the payoff. It's not just finishing the object. It's getting to take that picture and putting it on Ravelry and whatnot. So, I finished my 2015 year in review totally tubular cowl. Again, sorry for the motorcycles.
Hey.
First warm day, they're all out. Took them out of storage, I'm sure. So, here it is. And as you can see, it's double thick. I did add the, this is out of our Leading Men Fiber Arts Show Stealer base. This is the Year in Review 2015 Year in Review mini skein set in the order that they premiered in 2015. And then I added a short skein of London Fog, which depending on the base and depending on the day, really, sometimes it'll come out, more semi-solid, sometimes it'll come out more tonal. This one was obviously more tonal, and this was also back when we were just, not just starting dyeing, but pretty soon after dyeing, within the first year. So, we perfected not perfected them, but honed in on some of the processes that we use. So anyway, you're like, what does it look on? Well, it looks like this. So I think it'd be really nice. It's nice to be open. Like if you go in the store, it's still warm, but it's open here. It's not enough to double up by any means. But what I would do, take it, fold it, close your coat, and then you can keep it nice and warm. Again, I don't think this is for me. It'll be used as a booth sample for this year, this show season, and then it will go to, I don't know who, to somebody who deserves it. And
don't worry, that's not me.
Callie probably wouldn't lay claim to it. She's not I could tell from her reaction. She's probably not the biggest fan of it. It's a little loud. It's a cowl only a mother can love, but it got a lot of likes on Instagram, so I'm sure somebody will want to take it home after next year, after this show season. So that's that. And I love the fabric. I'll let you try it on, Kelly, just because I want you to feel what this... I've never done a tubular cowl, and let me tell you, it took me last night about 2.5, 3 hours probably in total between this morning to Kitchener all the way around. And you can feel it, the Kitchener, but it
does feel really nice.
It's really cushy, isn't it? And I knit this on a size 4. I originally was going to do a size 6 because that's what I'd use my boomerangs. But I like that it's not so thick that it's like rigid, but it has some, like you can stand it up, but you can also squish it down. So I like that. So I told her, I said, I could see myself, if I'm not feeling in a boomerang mood, I can see just taking a skein of fingering weight, or really anything, and making just a tubular cowl.
Like, it's very comfy. Like I could fall asleep on this. I'm not one to fall asleep easily. I am, but I'm not. But, this just feels like a nice pillow. If I were to make this, in real honesty, I feel like this would be an alternative to those neck pillows that you have to carry on airlines.
Right. But it's not squishing in, but it gives you that comfort, that cush.
But, you could totally, be all, anti, please don't talk to me on the plane. Be like...
So, that's done, and really, it doesn't really need any blocking, I don't think, so I probably won't. But I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. that being said, I'll mention it here just because I know I always leave it to the end. But the Leading Men Fiber Arts Ravelry group is having a totally tubular knit along for the months of January and February. I just realized this morning that I never opened up an FO pictures only thread. So, nothing like giving you 9 days to post those. But the FO thread has been opened this morning. I know some people were working really hard to get to the finish line. I'm sure some people started and they didn't, it got put to the wayside for one reason or another, and that's perfectly fine.
Life happens.
So if we only get one entry besides mine, then that person's going to win. If we get more, I'll randomly draw for a winner, and the prize is a $20 gift certificate to Leading Men Fiber Arts. So it must be a tubular cowl knit out of Leading Men Fiber Arts, and must have been started on or after January 1st, 2016, and finished prior to February 29th, 2016. So
Nice.
I really love the way Kaleidoscope and Turkey Run knit up, and I'm thinking March's colorway. If I get to do one with everything that's going on with the family, we'll see what we can get done this week, plus knitting pipeline. But I'm thinking the next colorway of the month I'm going to do in the same technique. I just love the speckled, pixelated way it knits up. So that's that. That's all that I finished. And this was like 600 and some odd yards. So I would suggest that if you do a tubular cowl like this, I would have at least a skein and a half of something to get this length. It'd probably be a little bit longer if you did 2 skeins. But say if you had a large chunk left over and then you bought another skein to go with it, you could stripe it in together or do something like that. Okay, so that's done. Do you have anything?
I don't. I was pretty close on getting my socks done today.
I put a time limit on her, and she was like, trying to get done.
I know. When I knit really fast and I'm like sitting on a couch or anything, like my left arm like becomes like immovable. Like I'm just like honed in, and I can't move much shoulder.
Oh.
I remember when Steve and I used to be friends.
Hey. I used to have a like-ish time, or I used to say like all the time. And then teaching, really. I became very cognizant of it in myself, you know what I mean? Because I didn't want my kids to pick up on it. They're already so bad about it, you know what I mean? I didn't want to instigate it.
True.
So, anyway, let's move on to what's performing this week. Would you like to go first?
Sure. I'm still working on my socks. It is Mint Rain yarns, and this is in the Pitch Perfect colorway. And I always forget to say the base, so let me pull this out. It's in the BFL sock base. It's 75% superwash BFL and 25% nylon. It has about 464 yards, and I don't know if I just said this or not, but it's in the Pitch Perfect colorway. I like to think it's Aka Awesome, so there's that. And that's all that I'm currently actively working on.
And she's very close to being done.
Yes.
She has the first sock completely done with the heel.
Oh, yes, I can show that.
I was like, you should show it off, girl.
See? Got that heel.
I was worried about her gauge, and I told her that, because she's a looser knitter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know overall than me or just on the DPNs. But you did make a purchase today.
I did. So I am working on one US size 1 needles. And this homegirl has got to go down to zeros. To get, it fits fine. I just would like it to be a little bit more snug. So, it is what it is. Also, hopefully next week I will be able to purchase sock blockers. So I was telling Steve that I don't own a pair of sock blockers. I have a pair that I received in a swap that were made out of very hard placemats.
Mm-hmm.
And they've worked just fine for me because I had no intention of becoming a career sock knitter. Right. So having those work just fine. So I think I might change my attitude about socks and I might knit more of them. but I'm tempted to place a Knit Picks order for another project, but I haven't confirmed that. But I also might just pick some up when I come see y'all at the market for Pipeline.
True.
Because I think I might do, I might go to the one in Peoria, down by the riverfront.
Kelly has them too. She has the metal ones.
She does.
All right. What am I working on? I am very close to being done with my sweater, but we couldn't put off recording anymore. So it'll be done for Knitting Pipeline and blocked, hopefully. Fingers crossed. And I'll be wearing it probably Friday. I think I'm going to wear it. So I'll also wear it next Sunday when we record, because we will record next week. I just finished the first half of the second sleeve cuff. I did the knit round that denotes the fold back row, and then now I've got to do another 30 rounds and then the sew and bind off, and then I'm done. And I was like, oh, I don't want to join in another skein. I think I got enough of this skein to join to finish off, and that leaves me with 3 or 4 extra skeins of Elspeth Lebold Silky Wool in color number 65, which is spruce. So it only took me 9 skeins at 50 grams. So that's like 4.5 skeins. I forgot how many yards come in a skein, but so you've seen it, but here it is again. It's got the fold back collar. Kelly, I think it was after recording she tried it on last week.
Oh.
It looked really good on her. So if I end up not loving it, somebody left me a note, thank you so much, on Ravelry, I believe, that said Elspeth Lebold Silky Wool grows a lot after blocking. So they're saying hopefully I should get enough room in the sleeves. But they are going to be fitted sleeves. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. I just followed the pattern. I didn't, try it on this go that much. And I did, but I knew they were going to be fitted. So here it is. I'm hoping I'm going to love the drape and the lightness. I've never done a sweater on this light of yarn. It calls for a DK. This is supposedly DK. It's a fingering, if you ask me. But that's that. So I'm excited to get that done. Excuse me, I dropped me blue ball. Sorry. I almost knocked off her bag. Okay. The next thing is Midnight Ocean by Louise Zass-Bingham, using Twisted Fiber Arts Ariel Large Evolution in the Gypsy colorway on size 6 US 4mm. And I got some work done on this. It's growing. I was able to switch out the needle. I don't think I had done that last week. Here's the yarn that's left. And here it is. So here's the Dicky-Doo. I did from there down. And here's the collar, and you can see it starting to grow. There's the colors. You can see I'm getting into the larger waves. So, or waves because of Midnight Ocean. So I'm excited to continue working on this. I do enjoy it. I think I may take this with me to Indiana to work on in the hotel and whatnot during, the downtime and evenings and whatnot. So, next is The London Mitts by Thea Coleman. I'm doing this for the Super Summer Knit Together. Their knit along series up until SSK in July, and this is their second one, and it's Any Pattern by Thea Coleman. And I am very close to being done with the first one. I finished the top of the hand, and I just need to do another repeat with the ribbing, and then I'll bind off, and then I just do a quick thumb. It does have a long cuff, but you can fold it back. So you can see here they won't go very high on the hand. And you can see the slightly lacy cabled pattern on the side of the hand with the thumb stitches there. I'm using another Crafty Girl Merino worsted in the Glowing Red Eyes colorway on size 6 US 4mm. Boy, everything's on size 6s this week. But I'm really enjoying this. I like the way the colors are playing out. I like that they're moving due to the decreases and taking the thumb stitches off and all that. So that's that. These are the mitts. I'm not sure who they'll go to when they're done, but the last thing I'm working on is something I cast on Tuesday to take to Knit Night so that I would have something completely mindless while I was talking to people. And what do I cast on when I need something completely mindless?
If you're a longtime viewer, you should know. If you're new, we'll give you a pass.
If you're a longtime viewer, what is it? I'm waiting for it. It's the boomerang. So it's my typical garter stitch boomerang, and I just made a project page for it. I will not give this continuous love, most likely, though I may take it with me to Pipeline. I don't know.
That's your side project.
This is my, when I go places like Knit Night and things like that. So I'm knitting this out of, this is my Periwinkle boomerang. I'm using Barocco Boboli lace in color number 4393, which is Periwinkle, and I'm using a size 6 US, 4 millimeters. So here's where I am. I did a little bit of knitting on it on Tuesday and a little bit on today. And I'm in love with this Boboli lace. I like all the, you'll see later, I like the color play of the Boboli. And I was looking at it in every single way possible. So here's the skein. And I love the sheen. It's a single ply. And what is the makeup? Let me tell you. Because it's been a while since this has been stash enhancement. It is 42% wool, 35% acrylic, and 23% viscose. And there's 350 yards to 100 grams. So it's kind of like a sport weight, even though they call it Boboli lace. So, is what it is. And I'm enjoying that. So that's what I'm working on. Alright, what's in rehearsal? Like I said, I would like to cast on a Banner Day by Megan Williams using Leading Men Fiber Arts Showstopper in the Metamorphosis colorway. That may be what I cast on and work on at Pipeline, to be honest with you. Because Megan's going to be there. I'm vending. You know. So, it seems pretty, from what I've heard, it seems, pretty easy with an interesting construction. So, that's all that I have to cast on knitting. So.
I actually have queued up 3 different patterns. So one is, I'm not going to lie, life happened and I was not able to participate in the cal that I hosted last month for the gifted cal. So I would like to, finish that. And I'm using Soft Kitty by Fiber Nymph Dye Works in her Bounce Space, I believe. Oh, excuse me. It's her Cozy Base, which is 100% superwash merino. So this pattern, as I had mentioned in previous podcasts, is going to be the Handbrake cowl. So I'm excited to start that. The other project that I have queued to work on is Steve was like, you should cast on a boomerang and knit with me, so then that way we could be twinsies. And so I also have Boboli lace. And I'm not for sure of this colorway's name, but it's color 4388.
Would you like me to look it up for you?
You can if you would like.
I like to know the names. And correct me if I'm mistaken, but this might be a back burner project for you as well, like.
Yes, probably.
For Knit Night and things like that.
Probably.
I'm interested to know what Boboli lace is in that number. What was the number again, real quick?
4388.
Okay, you keep talking.
So that is my second one. My third one is going to be a new pair of socks when I get finished with this. I bought this from Chef Caroline at SSK in 2014, and I've loved it ever since. And shout out to Caroline, excuse me. I work with a Carolyn, so but I love this. This colorway is called Hawaii, and it's by Friday Studios, and I love it. Like, these colors just, I went into my cabinet of yarn and I was like, I want a self-striping one, and these just make me happy, so I went with it. I was going to cast on It's Time to Make the Donuts, but I was like, I'm just not motivated to knit those colors right now.
Yeah.
You know? And I want to do what makes me happy, because I started off on a high note today. So, yeah.
The colorway on this is Grapevines.
As it should be. And my final thing that, well, maybe, probably final thing at this week is going to be the Thermos by Chris Knits. And this is vintage deep stash. Leading Men Fiber Arts and the Mind Maker colorway on the Dramaturg base. And it's 250 yards. And it's 100% superwash merino. So, got that going on. And the thing that I might possibly research is in Knitpick's most recent email that they sent. I believe it was yesterday or possibly Wednesday. They had a free pattern for a split tank. So it's like a tank top, but in the back it's split. So you can, I'm assuming you can probably decide where that slit ends. And since I work at a pretty conservative job, I was like, that would be a great layering piece for me for the summer, or just to have. And I had bought, I can't remember the actual yarn brand, but I think it might be Classic Elite in the Firefly colorway, and I bought it for SSK the first year to do one of the knit-alongs, and I never did because, quite frankly, I was like, meh, door prize tickets, meh.
Kind of like how she is this year.
I am. I'm not, like, I'm not. So I was like, I have that, and I think it's a very similar, it's very similar in content to what the Knitpicks brand of yarn is. But I calculated it, because it's a cotton linen blend, and I'm pretty sure the Firefly is as well. And I was like, I already got that in the stash. Hey. But even if I didn't, the total price for me, and I'm a bigger girl, would be less than $30 to make a tank top. And I was like, oh, that's not too bad. But I want to just see if what I already have is the same make, and I might start on that, but probably not for another week or two. So that's all that I have in the works.
Behind the scenes, what am I spinning? I am still working on my next commission spin. I'm spinning Diabolical's 85% Polworth wool, 15% Tussa silk in the Caucus Race colorway. Excuse me, I'm trying not to sneeze. Oh. And I am still working on the second 2 ounces. I'm fractally spinning this yarn into a 2-ply. So it's got the purples, the blacks, and the greens. And it'll be a lot of fun once it's done. So no pressure there. I usually spin in the mornings. I get up a little bit early, which is nice, and make my coffee, and I spin for about 10-15 minutes. It's a little bit every day, and that's how you get things done, right? So.
Yeah. That's what I hear.
Now, y'all, if you've been watching, know we're pretty busy. Pretty busy folk. With not much excess time to do, as much as we even want to do. So what do you do when you don't have enough time? You add a new craft in. Or bring back an old craft for Callie. So, I mentioned last week that I was kind of obsessed with the idea of cross-stitching and learning how to cross-stitch. And then, by Tuesday night, I told Callie, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good, I don't need to do it. I don't think I'd have the patience for it, blah, 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 blah.
And to which I said, good, because I don't think you'll have the patience for it either.
And I think she made a really loud ha noise, so loud.
Today.
And you did it that night too.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, now I feel rude. But
yeah. But we won't
we won't
repeat
that.
the volume because it'll blow your eardrums out. But I eventually texted her, and then I started watching more of the floss tube. So I mentioned that Sadie of Yarnivore has her own floss tube. Well, then I fell down the floss tube rabbit hole and started watching a bunch of these floss tubes, and I'm like, most of it I can pass up. It's kitschy, I'm not into that, but there are things that I'm interested in doing. Probably most of the ones that I'm interested in are going to be the more advanced stuff, and I need to learn first, but I texted her and I said, yeah, we need to go to Hobby Lobby and pick up something, and I also want to check out the needlework store in Bloomington. Mm-hmm. And she just replied, okay. So we met at Hobby Lobby this morning, and I got there early, and I was looking at some stuff, and most of it I could
pass up.
Sorry, that was the dogs. Most of it I could pass up. I was like, no, thank you. And but then I was starting to like a few things, and there was one that, of course, my eye was drawn to. I like the kind of full coverage, lots of pixelated, lots of colors, makes it very. There's a lot of depth and perception and dimension to the piece, and of course, the first one I'm drawn to. It's down on the bottom. It's a huge kit, very expensive, but you're getting everything you need for Van Gogh's Starry Night. I said, I really like this one, and I pointed at it, and she made the ha noise so loud that it rang in the rafters of Hobby Lobby.
I would just like, if you can't imagine the sound coming from me, it's very similar to a duck's honk.
Like Aflac?
Not a little bit deeper. Kind of Mallard-esque. If you need to research that, go ahead. Coming from a hunter's daughter, it's pretty vivid. Pretty vivid.
So she was there as moral support, as friendly support, and then she got sucked down that rabbit hole as well. So we both, and I was like, I'm just going to get one thing, and I'm going to be good at Hobby Lobby. I'm going to get something simple to make sure that I like it, and I found a kit for really cheap, and they had everything 30% off, and I had the hoop in there, everything you needed, and I was just like, well, I'm going to try it. But what I didn't like was, well, let me just show you. So I got the kit that I was talking about, and I thought it was cute, and it was sarcastic like me, and I could hang it up in the office somewhere. So it's a Dimensions kit, and it's called I'd Agree, and it says, I'd agree with you, but then we'd both be wrong. And so it was $10 with 30% off. And it comes with the hoop, the Ada, the floss, the needle, and the instructions. So I was like, sweet, I already have everything ready to be done. I don't have to frame it, nothing like that. It's all done for $10. What I didn't like, and I even love the colors, was that it wasn't really a picture. There wasn't a whole lot of dimension, which is what is attracting me to what you can do with cross-stitch. But I did like the message, and I thought it was funny and whatnot. So I did pick this up because it had everything, and I had a hoop in there, even if I didn't like the kit and whatnot. There was a lot of other things I liked, little things too, but I was like, what am I going to do with those? And they're not big enough. You got one, and I'm just like, it's so small for me, though. So I wanted something that was more of a picture, and this one I just threw in because it was cheaper and I could frame it, and I thought it was kind of cutesy, and I may give it to my sister or Callie, I don't know. But this one was more of a picture. So this is Artiste Mini. It's the owl, and this has it's a kit, the floss and the Ada and everything. So this one is what I'm going to start on because I can use the hoop to do this. I may need to eventually get a new hoop, but what I did like about both of these is that both kits have the floss already sorted. This one has more colors, which I've seen from other floss tubers. When you get a whole clump of threads and you got to sort them out, that can be, I'm sure, a nightmare. And I'm sure if I did the Starry Night one, it would be like that, what have you. So that's what I got at Hobby Lobby, just to try out cross stitch and see if I like it, and whatnot. So
the only thing that I brought in from the car that I got at Hobby Lobby is one that I actually was going to plan on working on while we get you situated.
Yeah.
And that is, so on a backstory, is that I have actually been cross-stitching and doing basic embroidery since I was in 3rd grade. I dropped it because my grandma taught me how to crochet, and then I dropped that because my Spanish teacher taught me how to knit. So, I'm gonna be rusty on it. I know that, but hopefully it'll come back. And we'll talk about this later, but I like the pre-printed ones for like basic designs, like that are outlined, not like with the X's in it, but like basic embroidery. So I got this for my GMA, and it's the also made by Dimension Company, and it is Mom's Kitchen. So it's a ball jar. It says Mom's Kitchen, Mom's Rules. So my grandma, paying homage to her. And it's done in white. So I really liked that because it would be consistent and I'd be able to kind of add in some more decorative stitches that based on this picture are not in here. So I can do some French knots for the apostrophe. I can do, all kinds of stuff with it. So I thought there was room for growth in this one. So I did get one of its counted cross stitch of Beauty and the Beast of their first dance. And it's a small one, and I was going to make an ornament out of it. And the other one that I got is it's a wooden bird, and it comes with floss in it, and you can decorate the bird with cross stitch. It's unconventional cross stitch, but I still really like it because I got one very similar to it in a Molly Makes magazine issue. So.
And I did look, they had a hedgehog one, but then I was like, what am I going to do with it? Not that I know what I'm going to do with all of these things, but, in the end, you can frame them and they're a wall hanging, but like a little hedgehog, I'm not going to necessarily hang on my wall.
Yeah.
So, there's that. So, we then went to lunch and had some wonderful B-dubs, which is always good for us. We love our B-dubs. And then we decided to stop by the local needle store, the LNS, which... I'm picking up on these terms through Flosstube. Do not worry. This is not going to be... this will be a small segment every week, like my spinning. We're not going to make a separate podcast and all that stuff. I plan on being one monogamous stitcher. We did go to the LNS, and I was like, well, I just want to see what they have. I don't need another project. I want to just have one. I don't want to make a stash. I don't want... I have enough with knitting. But I do want to support small businesses, and then we got wrapped up in things, and Callie totally fell down the rabbit hole there.
I did.
And was like, I hate you, da-da-da. But then we get home, and she's like, I'm totally excited to get back into cross-stitch.
I am.
So, and hopefully it's not that we don't have knitting together, but it's something else that we can have crafting time together, and another reason why we can get together. So, Callie had found something, and I was not blown away by her selection. She had a lot, but again, it was that...
It's stuff that doesn't necessarily interest you or your...
My aesthetic.
Aesthetic, yeah.
So, there's that. But then I was like, I might be able to find something. So I was looking around, and I was like, I can make this work. And I definitely liked the picture. But then she kitted us up. And I'm excited about it. I still do like the picture a little bit better. But I picked up this kit, or this pattern. It's a Bent Creek pattern. It's a begin row. And I kind of like, because of the shape, it's a little different. It's something that could be a little more decorative. And this is, I guess you would say it's called an alphabet sampler. And it has some pine trees, and it says, a journey of 1,000 miles must begin with a single step. And I really liked the colors and the dimension of it. I thought it was very masculine. Now, that being said, I liked the background color, but it's done on linen. And for those of you who don't cross-stitch, linen is essentially twice the amount of stitches on a fabric, so gotta have some good eyes. And for starting, we needed to use what's called Aida. That's half the amount of stitches per fabric, so we can see the holes a little bit better, especially for beginning. I'm not saying we... myself or Callie might not go up to linen eventually. I think the look is more...
Yeah, we both like the look of it.
Right. But we need to wrap our minds and talents around that first. So I went... She showed me the equivalent in Aida of the gray, and... sorry. And I wasn't all that enthralled with it. I was like, it looked really flat. So I picked out this fabric, which doesn't have a tag, so I don't know what it is. But it actually kind of feels like burlap. But I plan on framing it, so it's not about what it feels like. I've got to think. It's a picture, not a piece of clothing? It's not a piece of clothing. I'm not going to wear this, right? This is totally different needlecraft. I've got to wrap my mind around that. So this is the piece, and what's really nice is she actually did the seaming up here on the edge so it wouldn't fray. And so it'll be about this size, which I'm excited about. And it comes with buttons. I don't think it's like 5 little buttons. I don't think I'm going to include those. But these are all the very woodsy colors of DMC. And has little cardinals and whatnot in it, and snowflakes. I haven't decided on the snowflakes yet. We'll see. I might take them out. But I'm excited. So I'm not going to get started on this, though, until I finish the 2 Hobby Lobby things, because they're a little less intensive and not as much money invested to make sure that I like it. So, boy, that pattern is small. Sorry. Like,
I did not bring one. I in my mind did not think that we were gonna talk about this, like review the kits or anything. So that was my bad. Ill planning on my part. But I got a fall alphabet sampler, and it's got like a turkey in it and pumpkins and everything. And I am a fall junkie. Partially because I was born in October. I like a lot of fall things like mums, pumpkin picking, apple picking. And to me, it just kind of feels homey. So there was actually 2 that she had in the frame that I was like, I aspire to do this. And she was like, yeah, that pattern is no longer available. And I was like, oh. And then I was like, what's the numbers then on them? And she's like, in case if you want to buy them. And I was like, hey. So I was telling Steve, I was like, I might just buy all the things that are fall and just like continuously support her. But like I'm really excited because like my grandma and my great aunt Edith embroidered all the time. I actually have a homemade quilt that it is embroidered and then pieced together, and it means a lot to me. And one of my Aunt Edith was more like my grandma than my grandma is. My grandma and I have issues with each other. Like, we both love each other, but we don't necessarily like each other, And my Aunt Edith was more my grandma. And when she passed away from Alzheimer's, and before she passed, she and my grandma worked on this joint embroidery project. And it was this hand embroidered tote bag, and so it's always meant a lot to me, and I've always wanted to get back into it. But like, when you kind of start thinking about that, and then it just kind of makes you sad. But today is Day of Joy, so I was really happy about it because I was like, Aunt Edith would be like totally proud of me for picking it back up and like at least trying again. Right. So like, I think when you're in a good spot like that, then why not go forth? And my kit was only $10.86, so it was totally worth justifying that. And I've always wanted an alphabet sampler anyways, because I think it pays like an honor to all of those that like have immigrated here and continued the handcrafts, especially because like for me, I read the American Girl doll books, and like Kristen was one of the girls from and her storyline came from Sweden. She talked about working on a sampler, and like Felicity talked about working on samplers. So like in my mind, I was like, you need to do a sampler, homie, before you can like make it in this world. So I guess that's probably why I'm having life problems right now. Just haven't finished the sampler.
Well, and I don't know. I found this particular floss tube that she's doing this thing called the Year of Starts, which is outrageously crazy, but totally enabling. Yeah. And I had Callie watch just an episode with me before we recorded. Gosh. And it's where you start a brand new project every single day in the year. That is 365 of those kits. And then you work in somehow rotating through them. And no, you're not going to get very far at all in that year on any one thing. But it's kind of like Starditis on steroids.
Yeah.
But it makes it for a very engaging FlossTube podcast, whatever you want to call it, because it's something new and there's so many projects and colors and different types of things on her particular podcast. Whereas I've watched a couple other ones, and even if you're working on 2 or 3 things like our, with us with knitting, but it doesn't go nearly as fast. And so it's like I added a row and you can't see that much difference and you don't get to see a whole lot of variety. Yeah. So, and some people don't record but once a month because they know that they can't get a whole lot of progress done that quickly. So,
you know what I'd also say too is like, I have always been impressed with embroidery and counted cross stitch, and this lady that is hosting this particular FlossTube, she showed one project that I can't repeat what I said because y'all would think that I'm less of a person. But I was like, whoa! And then I might have used some explicitives. But it is, what is it? Santa Oz?
Yeah, but it's like Santa at Oz, but for St. Patty's Day. I was totally confused. But it was cute. It
was trippy enough for me that I was like, I need to have this, or I need to have someone make it for me, and then I just don't know. Like,
well, and it's done on like the plastic or perforated paper, and it almost makes dolls.
Yeah.
So you can move their appendages and stuff. I'm not going to get there, I don't think. It wasn't my thing either. Well, never say never, though. Right? I said I was never going to spin. Ever. No appeal.
True. So. I just don't... I think when it comes time to, like, buying that kit with everything in it, I think I know that my priorities lie with knitting and other crafts that I do that you don't do, that I'm like... Right. I don't know if I can.
And you do have a lot of other crafts that I don't. So I'm not saying there's going to be a whole lot done with stitching every week. It may just be something that I work on for an hour or 2 on a Saturday, and that's it. I'm not saying it's going to be every day, but it's something I wanted to challenge myself with, and it is always good to challenge yourself. Yeah. So that's that. So we haven't really named the cross stitch. I know what I was going to call it now. The scene shop. Because that's where you stitch costumes in the theater, is the scene shop. So, the scene shop. So, all right, let's move into In the Spotlight. What are we watching and reading? I am watching a couple of TV shows. I did watch a little more of Once Upon a Time, I believe. I did catch up on Teachers, which was interesting this week and funny. Still have not watched this week's X-Files, and I think there's one more on Monday, and then it's over, the season. Did not watch any more of Into the Badlands, and Walking Dead comes on tomorrow. So I did watch the season premiere, and it was interesting. Was it the best season premiere? I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see where the season goes. So that's my TV.
Guys, it is with a heavy heart, but, like...
You called it. Sorry.
I did. And, like, so, for those of you that are new, I'm pretty much obsessed with Mob Wives. Like, I've watched it since season 1. I will watch almost every rerun when it's on. I mean, like, I'm just hooked. I love it. I mean, it's the same season replayed over and over with just different people. Like, different new people.
Right.
But Big Ange has been a constant on all of the seasons, and she passed away from stage 4 brain and liver cancer on Thursday morning. And I'm not gonna lie, like, I love Big Ange's philosophy on life, and she's always one to want to make people get along and work things out. And the thing that she, like, one of the things that she was a heavy advocate for was, like, people asked her about her lifestyle, and she was always like, we're not here for a long time, we're here for a good time. And I think, I think that's a very great message to, people. And so, like, I really did. I cried. I was so sad when she died because I really liked her philosophy on life. And, she always put family and friends first. And, I understand she came from a family that had mob ties. Like, I get it. But I think she was a wonderful person. And especially there at the end. She was such a huge philanthropist. I mean, she did a whole bunch of fundraisers for Hurricane Sandy, with her bar and all kinds of other things. Like, she had one of the biggest hearts. And so I'm just really sad to see her gone. I had read in one article that they were talking about her last arrangements wanted to be like one huge party and everybody come and just dance and drink and have a good time. And so that's pretty cool that's your life philosophy is how you wanted to, how to go out. So anyways, the show's just not going to be the same. It was already announced this was going to be the last season, so I don't know how true that's going to hold. VH1 has been known to change their mind on a few things, so anywho, that's really all that I have to say about that.
So, moving right along into reading, I did finish 2 books. I finished listening to one, and I finished actually reading one in my classroom, and it was a big honkin' Stephen King book that I've been working on since, I don't know, December. But I got through it. So, the first one I finished listening to was The Bone Bed by Patricia Cornwell, and I've listened to quite a few of hers. This one is a relatively new one. It either came out or was recorded in 2012, compared to some of the other ones that I had listened to. It has a different narrator than the other ones I listened to, and I wasn't as big of a fan of this new narrator, especially with some of the characters that I've come to know, and when they have the same narrator for all those other books, and I know what the characters sound like in my head, and then you change that, and they're completely different. This was not my favorite of her books. They're hit or miss with me. It's, I wouldn't say a cop drama. She's not a cop. She's a medical examiner. But it was a lot of build-up for not a whole lot of anything at the end. And that's kind of how it seems like it is. It's like a lot of, 300 pages of all this rigmarole and drama and a few things to kind of confuse you. And then the final showdown is
Meh.
like that. So, wasn't my favorite of hers. I gave it, how many did I give it on Goodreads? I gave it 3 stars. And what's funny is the title, The Bone Bed, comes from one of the killings that happens in this novel, and it's not even the main one that's focused on for the entirety of the novel, so it's kind of like, you're pushing a little bit, but for a title, but that it is what it is. The second one I finished was Dr. Sleep by Stephen King, and this is actually The Shining Part 2. And this one came out relatively, what's the word I'm looking for? Recently. There we go. I was like, newly. No, that's not right. This one came out in, what does it say? Does it tell us? I don't know. 2013. Published in 2013. And it follows the storyline of Dan Torrance, who is the son in The Shining, and kind of whatever happened to him. And so, and then there is this kind of cult of people who are known as the True Knot, and they kind of feed off of this steam that is generated by other people who have the Shining of kids. So they kind of become not blood vampires, but these steam vampires, so they're kind of already dead, but yet they live on by feeding off of this. So they kill these young kids who have the Shining, and they take the steam and whatnot. And so there's a lot of different paranormal things that you kind of got to keep on top of and understand what he's doing, which can be a bit confusing. But overall, I thought it was okay. I gave it 3 stars. It's got an average rating of 4.10 stars on Goodreads. So I'd say check it out if you liked The Shining. This is not... I read the afterwards or some of it by Stephen King. He said this was more of like character focus rather than bump in the night kind of scare you like the original Shining or It or some of his other ones, Pet Sematary, things like that. So just know that going in. I just picked it up because I was like, oh, this is interesting. I didn't know that there was a sequel. So that's all that I finished reading this week, and I'm still reading some other things, but I'll tell you about those as I finish them.
I am still reading Juba by Walter Dean Myers. I still really like it. I didn't realize that it was based off of I knew that it was based off a true story, but I didn't realize that Charles Dickens was a huge part into this. He actually wrote a book, and the name escapes me, but it's based off the real Juba, and so it's very interesting knowing that now. So it's still very good. I like it. It's a young adult novel, so give it a try. Still haven't finished it yet, so but yeah.
I have some stash enhancement today because we did also, after going to the Cross Stitch, or the LNS, the local needle shop, we did go to our LYS, or local yarn shop, because they have open stitching on Saturday as well. So I didn't get anything on Tuesday, though I had spotted something and I was good. But since I was spending money today, why not buy yarn? Because, I'm a little bit low on yarn. But she had a little clearance section, and there was some bulky weight that was calling my name, and whenever I pick up, skeins, I always pick up single skeins, whether it's fingering weight, worsted weight, bulky weight. I'm like, oh, I can make a hat, I can make mittens. But when I look at my queue of bulky weight things that I want to knit, most of them call for more than one skein, because you don't get a whole lot of yardage. So I had looked up a pattern, and I found something that I liked, and let me see if it's still up. On my phone. Yep. And it's called Outlier by Laura Ayler, and it's a big triangular shawl out of stockinette and garter. So I'm going to focus on the phone. There we go. And so I picked up 3 skeins of this yarn that was on clearance, and surprise, it's Barocco, and it's kind of like Boboli, but it's not. It's called Borealis. And it is a bulky weight at 108 yards out of 100 grams. It is 60% acrylic, 40% wool. And, of course, I asked Callie for her opinion, and I rejected the first one she wanted. I brought out all the colors, and she's like, I don't know why you asked me. Funny, Andy says the same thing. He's like, why do you ask me? You never go with what I say. So I picked up...
And you wonder why we pick on you.
I picked up color number 5082, which I'll have to look up what it is, and it's like this. It's kind of got a somewhat Halloween-y feel to it, but not. I don't know. I thought it was interesting, so I did go with it. And it is outside my color zone, so. But I like the sheen on it. Again, it's single ply. So, eventually, I just need to, whenever the random number generator gods decide to grace it with its presence, it'll be on the needles then.
Nice. I did buy some yarn on Tuesday, but I did not bring it. I'm
bad podcaster.
I am. But actually, I am making it for a person that does watch the podcast, and I had this kind of panic attack because I knew that I had wanted to make something for this individual, and I was like, I can't remember if this is one of their favorite colors or dislikes. So I went home, panicked, and checked it, and we're good. So I actually don't know that I will be showing it on the podcast a lot, because I do kind of want it to be secret knitting. But I also just want the recipient to be in the dark, too, so... But I
Alright.
did finish my other sock. I've just got one into weave in, but y'all have to see them.
So she's got an FO now.
Yeah, I do. So, sock number 2
I was like,
looks very similar to sock number 1.
as she's showing you those, I do want to tell you we do have our red and pink knit along currently
Yes.
going on. That'll be closing up here in the next 9 days. People
Yep.
are still chugging in,
Yes.
throwing in their projects, so keep going. Anything that has any red or pink in it can qualify. There's been a lot of highly variegated stuff with
Yep.
little bits of reds and pinks. That's fine. Correct?
Yes, and you can use if you use any base of Bleeding Man Fiber Arts, then you can enter your finished object in the FO thread twice. You can use any weight of yarn. You can do any type of pattern. It can be stuffies, it can be a shawl, it can be a sweater. I was telling Steve that I did not put the caveat on this one that it had to be started on February 1 and finished by February 29th. That was my faux pas, but it would work in your advantage if you had started like a sweater or some larger project, and if it contains red or pink, then you can count it. I'm making
Just
the
needs to be
exception.
finished in this
Yeah.
month and during the time.
Yep.
We do want to encourage you to enter anything you finish in the month of February into our Race to the Finished Object contest for February. We have 2 wonderful prizes. The first is some Knit Picks Wool of the Andes in the grass colorway, and then we have a pattern from our featured designer, who is Megan Sanders. Sorry.
Yeah. They both have equally awesome stuff.
They
so.
do, and they're both awesome Megans. So, there's that. All right, we're going to move into center stage, all things Bleeding Man Fiber Arts. I'm not going to take too long, but if you leave us now, we'll see you next Sunday. I will let you know how the Knitting Pipeline retreat went. I'm super excited. If you're going to be there, please, again, I can't say this enough. I am kind of a hermit in that I find a seat and I sit there. So please come up and say hi. And if you don't see me moving around, it's just me being me. But I think I'll be a little more social this year. I hope. A lot of people are returning, or a lot of people I've met at other retreats. So I kind of it's a nice thing about returning to these events. I get to know people more than just once. So. That's that. Alright, so I told you about the Totally Tubular Knit Along and the Bleeding Man Fiber Arts Ravelry group. If you've been working on that, get your pictures in prior to or by February 29th. I do want to show you what's been updated to the shop this week, and then I'll leave you with that. Like I said, we'll see if we get a March colorway of the month done this month. I'd like to, but it just depends on what we can get done this week. And, it may be that I can only dye up one trial skein on one base, and I have to put that picture for all the different bases. We'll see. So, alright, what's been added to the shop? Let's start. I'm just going to keep bending on a frame. Please excuse me. On Showcase, which is 100% superwash merino, 490 yards of a light fingering weight, we have jazzercise leggings, and yeah, it's that bright.
You're welcome.
On Showstopper, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 463 yards, we've got seaweed. On Box Office, which is our worsted weight, 100% superwash merino, 218 yards, we have Darkest Hour, which is a semi-solid black. On Show Stealer, which is 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon, 435 yards, we've got Tequila Sunrise. Gorgeous oranges and yellows. On Show Stealer as well, we have Winter Night, which was our January colorway of the month. On Showstopper, we have Shadows in the Trees. On Showcase, we have Metamorphosis. And then on Dramaturg, which is our DK weight, 100% superwash merino, 115 grams, so you get 250 yards. We have nude scene. This is not bare, it has been dyed, it is an ecru colorway. So, that's it. That's what's been added to the shop this week. Please take a look around at leadingmenfiberarts.bigcartel.com. You can join our Ravelry group, which is Leading Men Fiber Arts. You can follow me on Instagram, which is Leading Men Fiber Arts. And you can join our Facebook group as well, which you can find under Leading Men Fiber Arts. If you like today's show, please leave us a star rating or a written review on iTunes if you're watching there. If you're watching on YouTube, we'd love for you to leave comments or give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. You can always find the show and show notes at dramaticknits.com. And I think that's all we have for you tonight. We are going to take our hands and try some cross stitch downstairs and hopefully not go blind at a young age. So, until next week,
We hope you
knit something dramatic.